Yields back. Chair now recognizes the gentlelady from Wisconsin, Ms. Moore, ranking member of the Monetary Policy and Trade Subcommittee.
Thank you so much, Mr. Chairman. I'd lost 5 seconds. Okay, thank you so much, and welcome again, Mr. Secretary. Mr. Secretary, I was really relieved to hear you say on a number of occasions this morning that you are going to be very vigilant on anti-money laundering and counter-terrorist financing compliance. And so given that, I just want to put a few things on the record and find out whether or not you think that certain kinds of investment activity raise concern and warrant heightened scrutiny from regulators and law enforcement. That, of course, our president and his family have engaged in. Investments with parties who have admitted to or have been accused of or convicted of crimes. You think that's problematic, yes or no?
It sounds that way, but it depends on the specifics.
Thank you. Oh, well, I can be specific. How about Felix Sater, who helped build the Soho projects? I'm not aware of any of the specifics of that, nor would be appropriate for me to comment. That's not part of my job. Investments where apparent enterprise lacks a significant or economic basis, do you think that's problematic? Like mirror trades?
What was the last part?
Mirror, like in a mirror trade.
I don't know what you're, I'm not connecting this to the terrorist financing issues.
Investments with parties and investments with politically exposed. Well, I could consume all my time, but I would just bring to your attention that there have been, these are not secret things. They're exposed, they're in the news for everybody to read about the partnerships that the Trump family has with people who have been convicted of crimes, who've been associated with Russian mob activity. And I was just wondering, for the record, if you thought that that was problematic.
Again, it's really not part of my job to comment one way or another on that. My job is focused on terrorist financing.
You're the Secretary of the Treasury. You're in part, the SEC, the Foreign Corrupt Practices Act, these are all things that you have jurisdiction over.
No, the SEC I have no jurisdiction over.
All right. Let me ask you some more questions. I mentioned in my opening statement, I talked about conflict minerals, and I talked about the disclosures for extractive industries, which you supported. What were the judgments you relied upon to support eliminating disclosures for extractive industries and for, in the Choice Act, eliminating conflict minerals? And so since you seem to need examples, I'll give you examples. ExxonMobil, as you know, the Treasury just fined them for corrupt dealings with Russia. And conflict minerals, you're familiar with the horrific civil war that's ravaged the Democratic Republic of Congo, and how armed groups took control of the mines, used the proceeds to fund armed conflict, and those minerals ended up in the U.S. consumer market. And thereby, we as U.S. citizens inadvertently funded the killing, rape, and destruction in the DRC. So upon what judgment did you rely to decide that we don't need these provisions?
First of all, I just want to comment on the Exxon. It was not on corrupt dealings. It was on an OFAC violation. In regards to the mineral issue, and again, we think there's a lot of problems, as you pointed out, and we've been more than happy to follow up with your office and talk more about this issue.
I would like to yield the last minute to the ranking member.
Thank you very much. I'd like to thank you, Ms. Moore,